The 1990s were a decade of bold fashion, booming technology, and food fads that promised miracles. Fat-free snacks, extreme sodas, trendy diets. But beneath the marketing hype lurked something darker. Many of these so-called innovations weren't just unhealthy, they were dangerous. This is the shocking story of the deadliest food trends of the 1990s. 1. Olestra, the fat-free disaster. 1996, grocery store aisles across America, brightly colored bags of chips with a single word printed across them in bold. Wow. To snack lovers, it was a dream come true. Eat all you want, no fat, no calories, no guilt. For a country obsessed with dieting, this sounded like the holy grail of junk food. The secret was Olestra, a synthetic fat substitute created by Procter & Gamble after decades of research. Unlike normal fat, Olestra passed through the body without being digested. But this miracle came with a cost. Within months of release, complaints started flooding the FDA. People reported sudden cramping, bloating, even rushing to the bathroom in public places. The medical term was gastrointestinal distress. The public had a less polite name, anal leakage. Imagine eating a handful of chips at lunch, only to find yourself in agony during a work meeting. Stories like these spread quickly. Late-night hosts made Olestra the butt of endless jokes. Nutritionists discovered something even more alarming. Olestra didn't just block fat, it also blocked the absorption of essential vitamins like A, D, E, and K. These nutrients were crucial for vision, bone health, and immunity. By 1998, the FDA forced manufacturers to print warning labels directly on the bags. The damage was done. Sales plummeted. By the early 2000s, Olestra snacks disappeared from most shelves. What began as a food revolution ended in humiliation. A cautionary tale that sometimes the cure is worse than the disease. 2. Surge soda, the hyperactive teen nightmare. 1996, Atlanta, Coca-Cola headquarters. The executives had a problem. Pepsi's Mountain Dew was dominating the youth market, marketed as the drink of skaters, gamers, and rebels. Coke needed a competitor, something bolder, louder, and extreme. The answer was Surge. Marketed with commercials of kids diving off cliffs and smashing through walls, Surge was neon green, foamy, and filled with more caffeine than almost any soda at the time. Its slogan was, "Feed the Rush." Teenagers did exactly that. Lunchrooms filled with empty bottles. Football players chugged it before practice. At LAN parties, gamers stacked Surge cans into towers while playing Quake and StarCraft. But soon came the health fallout. Teachers reported hyperactive classrooms. Parents noticed their kids couldn't sleep. News outlets ran stories of students fainting, shaking, and experiencing heart palpitations after drinking multiple bottles. One school nurse in Florida recalled treating 3 kids in 1 week for what she described as many panic attacks triggered by caffeine overload. By 1997, some school districts banned Surge vending machines entirely. The backlash grew until Surge's sales collapsed by the early 2000s. Ironically, nostalgia brought it back in 2014 as a limited product. But in the 90s, Surge was both a cultural icon and a cautionary lesson in just how much caffeine a child could take. 3. Candy cigarettes. Sweet poison. If you were a kid in the early 1990s, nothing made you feel cooler than walking out of a corner store with a pack of candy cigarettes. They looked real. They came in boxes that mimicked Marlboros, Camels, even Lucky Strikes. Some brands even puffed sugar dust to look like smoke. For kids, it was play-acting adulthood. But behind the fun was a darker truth. Studies later showed that kids who chewed candy cigarettes were twice as likely to start smoking for real. The candy was basically a gateway drug, normalizing the act of holding and puffing a cigarette long before teens ever touched nicotine. Public health experts sounded the alarm. The American Lung Association compared candy cigarettes to training wheels for tobacco. By the late 1990s, several countries banned them altogether. Canada outlawed them in 1997. The US never officially banned them, but their popularity faded as attitudes towards smoking shifted. For millions of 90s kids, candy cigarettes were their first taste of rebellion. Today, they're remembered as a shocking example of how an innocent-looking candy could lead to a deadly habit. 4. Mad cow disease, the beef scandal of 1996. March 20th, 1996, London. A grim announcement shocks the world. British officials confirmed that bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or BSE, better known as mad cow disease, can infect humans. The human version, variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, VCJD, causes the brain to deteriorate. Victims suffer memory loss, hallucinations, muscle spasms, and eventually death. There was no cure. The revelation triggered an international food panic. Supermarkets stripped beef from shelves. Restaurants rewrote menus overnight. Countries from the US to Saudi Arabia banned British beef imports. Farmers faced ruin. Entire herds were slaughtered in mass culls. Helicopter footage showed bulldozers pushing mountains of cattle carcasses into pits, then setting them on fire. The human toll was devastating. Over the following years, more than 200 people worldwide would die from VCJD linked to beef consumed in the 90s. Families watched loved ones waste away in hospital beds. The British beef industry took over a decade to recover, and mad cow became one of the worst food-related crises of the century. 5. Jolt Cola and the energy drink takeover. Before Red Bull landed in American stores in 1997, there was Jolt Cola. Its slogan was legendary: all the sugar and twice the caffeine. To teenagers, Jolt was rocket fuel. Gamers used it for all-night marathons of Doom and GoldenEye 707. College students crammed for exams with it. Hackers kept it on desks beside their computers. But the health warnings came quickly. Doctors reported caffeine overdoses among young drinkers. Symptoms ranged from jitters and nausea to seizures and irregular heartbeats. Emergency rooms logged cases of teens collapsing after chugging multiple cans. One New Jersey doctor told reporters in 1998 that he saw more caffeine-related collapses than ever before, and Jolt is always involved. By the late 1990s, Red Bull entered the US, ushering in the modern energy drink craze. But Jolt Cola was the pioneer, and the cautionary tale of what happens when you turn caffeine into a marketing weapon. 6. SnackWells, the fat-free lie. The early 1990s were defined by a single phrase: fat-free. Nutrition experts warned that fat was the enemy, so when Nabisco launched SnackWells, cookies and crackers marketed as fat-free, they became an overnight sensation. Stores couldn't keep them stocked. Housewives bragged about eating entire boxes without guilt. Diet magazines praised them as the future of snacking. But there was a dirty secret. To replace fat, Nabisco pumped SnackWells full of sugar and refined carbs. Each healthy cookie spiked blood sugar and insulin levels. The result? People didn't lose weight, they gained it. This phenomenon became known as the SnackWell effect, the belief that eating more of something healthy cancels out the calories. By the end of the decade, obesity rates were climbing sharply, and SnackWells became a symbol of how America's war on fat accidentally fueled a sugar addiction. 7. Sushi mania, stylish but risky. By the mid-1990s, sushi had gone from exotic delicacy to mainstream craze. In New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, trendy sushi bars attracted young professionals who saw it as a symbol of sophistication. Celebrities flaunted sushi dinners, and Hollywood films referenced it as the chic food of the moment. But with popularity came risk. Fish wasn't always stored properly. Some restaurants cut corners with inexperienced chefs, and parasites like anisakis lurked in undercooked or raw seafood, causing agonizing stomach infections. Another danger was mercury poisoning, particularly from tuna and swordfish. Pregnant women who ate sushi risked passing mercury to their unborn children, leading to developmental issues. By the late 1990s, doctors were issuing public health warnings. Sushi was delicious, but not risk-free. The sushi boom made raw fish a staple of American dining, but it also exposed an entire generation to dangers they had never faced before. 8. Zima, the clear alcohol trap. The Coors Brewing Company unveils Zima, a citrus-flavored malt beverage that looks like Sprite but packs the same alcohol content as beer. Marketed as futuristic, Zima's ads showed young people clinking clear bottles under nightclub lights. It was positioned as sophisticated, a cooler alternative to traditional beer. But here's the problem. Zima's sweetness masked its strength. Teenagers and inexperienced drinkers downed bottle after bottle, not realizing they were essentially binge drinking. Emergency rooms reported spikes in alcohol poisoning. Police officers noted its popularity among underage drinkers, calling it a gateway alcohol. By the end of the 90s, Zima had become more of a cultural joke than a success story. Comedians mocked it, older drinkers dismissed it, and teens moved on to harder beverages. Still, for a brief moment, Zima was both a cultural icon and a dangerous experiment in alcohol marketing. Looking back, the 1990s were a decade of food as an experiment. We trusted science to make fat disappear and ended up with Olestra's disasters. We drank sodas so caffeinated they landed kids in the nurse's office. We gave children candy cigarettes, then wondered why they grew up smoking. And entire nations faced epidemics from tainted beef. Some products faded into history, others evolved into the energy drinks and diet fads we still live with today. The lesson? The foods we eat aren't just snacks, they're experiments, and sometimes we're the test subjects. The 90s weren't just neon jackets, Tamagotchis, and dial-up internet. They were a cautionary tale told through our stomachs, our health, and in some cases, our lives.